you have Taurus rising, this Mercury-Mars conjunction and Mercury retrograde began for you on October 20th in your seventh house. So this indicates some type of conversation with a partner that was changing something else in your life that had to do with some type of change that you suddenly felt inspired to make. This could also be changes that your partner is communicating to you that they are making. So something that has to do with change, there's likely some type of conflict or fear around whatever those changes are. That doesn't have to necessarily be that it's such a huge thing. It can be that it's something new, and new can be scary. It's just some type of change being introduced into your partnership. If you are not currently in a partnership, you might have met someone at this time who you're interested in partnering with, but there's some type of block there. But this has to do with some type of communication that came about between you and another person right around the end of October, like the last week of October. On November 9th, Mercury stations retrograde in Sagittarius in your eighth house. Your eighth house is all about intimacy, inheritance, other people's money. This can be about like directly your partner's funds, or this can be about money that's like a pool. So, like something you're invested in. This could be something you're invested in on your own or something you're invested in with a partner. So during this time, whatever projects you have going on in those areas, there's going to be some type of pause, some type of communication that happens that causes you to pause before moving forward with whatever your plans were. So just try to remember that the pause is necessary because there's some kind of new information that is going to change your direction. If you don't have that information yet and you feel like there's nothing in my way, I should just keep going. I want to bulldoze whatever this block is. Just give it a minute, wait it out, and see, because it's likely that something's going to come up that's going to make you like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't. I'm so glad I waited. On November 12th, Mercury is going to, while it's retrograde, run into Mars. So that indicates some type of conflict having to do with wanting to move forward, but something that Mercury is bringing is saying, like, some type of information is saying, I can't move forward right now. So it might look like now is the time to move forward. Yes, there's this other thing that, I just found out about, but I don't need to consider that. I really want to go forward. Whatever the contention is there, there's a conflict, and you may be of two minds yourself, or there may be somebody involved with whatever this situation is that they are of a different mind than you are. And so we can't decide on like a joint path forward, and that may be necessary. So again, this has to do with your partnerships. This can also have to do with your partner's money or any kind of investment that you're involved in with others. So it's like a pool of funds. On November 29th, Mercury has left that conjunction with Mars and is now back in Scorpio, where it was in October. So there's a feeling of kind of returning to that time for you. Like, is there something that comes up that reminds you of those last weeks in October and what was happening then? Or is this someone, like, for instance, your partner, reminding you about something that happened back then that pertains to something that you're working on right now? Whatever is putting the brakes on right now, that's something that you definitely want to consider before moving forward, because at the end of November, it's likely that we get some type of information that kind of makes us sit with it for a minute. So if you're not sure what that is, sit with it. It may appear like you might remember it, or talk with your partner about what you're feeling confused about, because they might be the person who's bringing that information to you or reminding you of something that happened that, it was in the end of October. It's now the end of November. I forgot this one piece, and I really do need to keep that in mind before I move forward. By December 16th, Mercury has moved out of Scorpio back into Sagittarius and has completely passed over the degrees that it had already traveled through back in November. Now is really a time where we've kind of got the whole picture. We're starting to really move forward with whatever has been brought up through these past few months that we've been gathering information about, that we've experienced this stop, start, wait, sit with it. I think I want to do this, so I move forward, and that wasn't the right thing. Hang on, I need a minute. Let me go back and look and review my facts, review my plans, and find whatever gaps are there that I need to adjust. So you've done all of that work, and now you're starting to move forward. And this is a better time than the previous weeks to move forward. You're probably feeling that, like, if you look back on, had I started this a month ago, oh yeah, I would have made this mistake, I would have made that mistake. Again, because this is going through your 7th and 8th house, this can all be about something that your partner is doing that they're talking with you about. And maybe you don't agree with what their plans are. And that has been the source of contention. But right now you're kind of feeling like, okay, we've got a plan. We've compromised on that. We are in agreement about, you're feeling more on board with whatever the situation is. And as you're moving forward, you're just feeling like this is a better time. When I look back, it wouldn't have been so great a couple of weeks ago. I really needed to know XYZ thing. It is likely during this time that for whatever reason you are going to want to kind of stop and like take inventory of what all has happened. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's a major bump in the road. It just means that, like, maybe there's something that's happened over this last time that you just want to like remember to remember. Whatever it is, there's going to be a little bit of slowing down. There always is at the very end of that post shadow period. It's like everything's moving forward, and then there's kind of like this hiccup, and then we're like, oh yeah, I remember. And then we go forward again. So although you've been moving forward, this isn't like a major stop. It's just sort of a pause, and then you can keep going. By January 18th, Mercury has caught up with Mars in Capricorn. Mars is very happy in Capricorn. It's exalted here. The energies of Capricorn and the traits that it represents work well with Mars's like ambition and drive to move forward. It's like it's moving forward in a focused direction. So it's likely that things have been moving along the last couple of weeks pretty well. When Mercury and Mars conjoin, there could be some kind of conflict there or some type of urge to be impulsive again. This may be coming from someone else because this involves your 7th house, because the Mercury retrograde was happening in your 7th and 8th prior to Mercury moving into your 9th house. But at this time, like where you are now, this is now about really manifesting a plan. And in the 9th house, we're looking at things having to do with travel, school, higher education, my politics, my worldview. This is where those changes are sort of manifesting and like you see them taking form. So whether that's because the events of the past couple months are changing your worldview in some way, and now you're rebuilding in a new direction, or because of what's gone on in the last couple months, you are now feeling like taking a trip, taking some type of, not necessarily a vacation, but more like a trip with a purpose, like a trip that has something to do with broadening your horizons or expanding your perception in some way. Or maybe you're going on some type of like trip where you're teaching others, but this is all manifesting in some type of growth for you. So you just want to take a minute, kind of take inventory of what has gone on. Ask yourself, has this changed my direction in some way or changed my future plans for some type of higher learning that I had intended to pursue, or changing some kind of higher learning that I had intended to pursue? And as you're doing that, just remember it's still good with those two planets together to pause before we speak. Capricorn can be somewhat cold in its honesty, and Mars can sometimes be brutal. So you might feel like you're just telling the truth, and it might really hit someone the wrong way. They might take it the wrong way. So just, kind of pause in any of your new interactions with other people. There's a lot of letting go of what's been going on the last couple of months and really moving forward and doing something new right now. So allow that to really take hold in your present so that, you're moving forward in a new way.